deeply dislike the Birds of Prey movie, but even if I had been the target audience, I still don't think it would have worked, because Harley Quinn is just not good as a main character. And I think the filmmakers knew this, and so they tried to make it more of an ensemble piece, but the problem is that none of the other characters are particularly likable either. A lot of my viewers watch my videos with their young kids in the room. This is not one of those videos. You will need your headphones. We are probably going to say some things that will get this video age-gated. But before I get to why Harley Quinn doesn't really work as a main character, I also just don't think that Birds of Prey is a very good movie as a movie? To explain that, the plot of Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn or whatever goeth thusly. Harley and the Joker broke up, and she's on a mission to find her own identity separate from him, but all of the stuff she was able to do with impunity while she was under the Joker's protection is now catching up to her. To stop crime boss Roman Sionis from killing her, she promises to get him the Bertinelli diamond back. It's not just a diamond, it also has bank details laser engraved on it or something, which was pickpocketed from one of Sionis's goons by Cassandra Cain. Everyone else is hunting the girl and the diamond as well though, so eventually, having betrayed Cassandra and then felt bad about it, she has to team up with disgraced cop Montoya, the technical owner of the diamond, Helena Bertinelli, but she wants to be called Huntress, but everyone calls her the crossbow killer, and Sionis employee Black Canary. And by the end of the movie, Huntress gets the money from the accounts, starts a crime-fighting group with Montoya and Black Canary called the Birds of Prey, and Harley fences the diamond and takes Cassandra as an apprentice. This is a fairly straightforward MacGuffin plot, in much the same way that Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest is, and don't worry, we'll get to that in a second. But the problem is, it's also structured really confusingly. The time dislocation isn't as bad as the first season of The Witcher, but it's still annoying. The fourth wall breaking narration is funny sometimes, but I think a bit overdone. And while I feel sympathy for a lot of the characters, I can't really say that I like any of them particularly. I mean, the one I get closest to liking is probably Huntress, who is just a blank slate with a tragic backstory. Actually, we might be onto something there, because blank slate with a tragic backstory is pretty common among game characters. So maybe I just like Huntress in the same way that I like a character that we've had 2 minutes of cutscenes with before we start playing them. Or to draw a different comparison, maybe she's like the bride in Kill Bill, but we only get 2 minutes to set up why we should be feeling sorry for her and agree with her quest for revenge before we just crack on with the plot. Also on the subject of video games, I feel like the lady cop Montoya and Cassandra Cain both kind of feel like NPCs. I'm not really sure why, but it doesn't matter because we're talking about Harley. While I do feel that the movie could have been improved by better writing, ultimately, however good an actress Margot Robbie is, I don't think that a Harley Quinn movie is necessarily a good idea, just conceptually. In much the same way that I don't really feel like a Jack Sparrow movie is a good idea conceptually. You know what, I'm going to let past Jill explain this one. While Jack is tremendous fun in the first film, particularly as a reactive character because he pulls focus from the main plot in unexpected ways, that doesn't work quite so well when he is the main plot. I feel the same way about Harley Quinn as I do about Jack Sparrow. And as an astute commenter pointed out under my Dead Man's Chest video, Jack's character archetype is trickster. He's an unpredictable secondary character who isn't the villain and isn't the hero and is frequently frustrating to both. Sound familiar? For the absolute perfect example of this, I would like you to think about the Lonely Island song that goes, "This is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow." Because Captain Jack Sparrow isn't even the main character in the song named after him.
What?
The whole reason that the song is funny is because Jack is an unlooked-for side character in a song which is ostensibly about going to the club. If we just took out all of the parts which are about Jack Sparrow and made them into a song, then sure, it's not bad, but the reason that the song works is because he is pulling focus from the straight man in the story, as it were. Jack needs a main character to play off so badly that not even the song that's named after him has him as the main character. And much like Jack, Harley Quinn just works better when she has main characters to play off of. And Montoya and Huntress and the rest just don't fill that role comfortably. I think that you could definitely make a movie where Harley Quinn moving on from the Joker is one of the subplots, but I think that that would just be a normal Batman movie where Batman and the Joker are duking it out and Harley is there in the background, frequently frustrating the plans of both, mucking things up for all parties involved, and then at the end, having come to the realization that she and the Joker are not, you know, good, she does something to help Batman at a crucial moment. And then, of course, she'd wander off into the sunset to find herself, probably picking Batman's pocket or utility belt on the way. And to further strengthen my argument about Harley, look at Suicide Squad. Or, you know, don't, because boy, it sure is a movie, but I feel like Harley Quinn is one of the better things in it, even if the camera is in fact just obsessed with her butt cheeks and her thrush-inducing glitter hot pants. I mean, I think Birds of Prey is a better movie than Suicide Squad, but frankly that's a bit like saying that a nettle sting is better than a wasp sting. Neither are really a good time. With my actor combatant hat on, I will say that the fight scenes in Birds of Prey are generally pretty well conceived, and that's probably because they got the John Wick second unit director, Chad Stahelski, to direct the action. It also helps that they do lean into the fact that Harley fight scenes are fun because the laws of physics kind of don't really apply to her, and so they're able to give her this more out there style with lots of jumping and spinning and partner assisted stuff. When it comes to the more grounded characters though, I feel like the movie struggles with their characterization generally, and so while some of them get really cool fight scene bits, it doesn't really come together in a cohesive way. Plus, the dislocated temporal nature of the movie means that it's actively robbing the fight scenes of tension in some cases. And some of the other scenes as well, to be fair. For example, the pink and blue and glitter section of the police station fight is trying to be fun, but first of all, I don't understand why so few people are trying to shoot Harley, and second of all, we slam that tension into a wall when we then have to jump back in time to explain how we got here. And during that section where we go back in time to explain how we got here, Ewan McGregor is going downstairs to kill Harley, and we feel no tension at all because we know that she's going to get out of this. This scene frustrates me because I feel like it could have been a much better scene than it actually is if we'd just run it through chronologically. Because Margot Robbie really is a good actress, and her comic timing is excellent, and so the lines about Roman Sionis and his daddy issues would have landed much harder if we had been genuinely concerned for her well-being, and also they'd been given a little bit more space to breathe, because there's so much going on, and I feel like it just doesn't let any of the better jokes breathe. Also, side note, I do not know what we're supposed to think of Roman Sionis specifically. I know we're supposed to hate him because he's the baddie, but I kind of just viscerally dislike most of the characters, even the ones I theoretically feel sympathy for. So, and the really specific, gruesome, over-the-top violence that they give to him, plus the really specific, gruesome violence they show on screen with Harley breaking guys' legs or whatever, is just, I feel like it doesn't work in the context of the film as well as they want it to. The very specific, gruesome, leg-breaking kind of stuff undermines the rest of the action scenes. And the reason for that is because I have said before that Harley Quinn is a character whose shtick is that she can kind of ignore the laws of physics. And because that's the style of her fighting and the nature of her character, I feel like her action scenes work better when they're very campy and over the top, rather than very specifically graphic. Harley absolutely should not be able to chase down a speeding car while hanging onto the back of a motorbike and wearing roller skates. That's not really how that works. But because it's her, we're kind of willing to suspend our disbelief. Or when they perform one of those super fun partner-assisted ballet-looking moves that apparently knock a grown man unconscious. That probably isn't going to work in real life, but we suspend our disbelief because it's Harley Quinn and she can do really weird things. But I think it makes it so much harder to suspend your disbelief for all of the wacky stunts when we also have this really gritty, specific violence going on. Some people are never going to enjoy the wacky stuff, and that's totally fine. But if you mix it with the gritty stuff, you just ruin both, in my opinion. It just makes it look like the movie can't decide what tone it's trying to go for. There are a couple of things I like about Birds of Prey. Harley's costume design, for example, very fun. The whole concept of the funhouse fight is great, and even some of the meta fourth wall breaking jokes made me laugh. Side note, this video is sponsored by me and my novel, which contains many meta fourth wall breaking moments. That's the whole setup. Caroline Lindley is an author trying to write a romantasy novel, but her heroine keeps arguing with her about how the plot is supposed to go. Shenanigans ensue. That's enough of the sponsor section, moving on. Anyway, while I know that Birds of Prey was an early 2020 release, and so, yes, it was probably impacted by COVID, I'm not surprised that it didn't pick up more fans when it was eventually released on streaming, because, I think it's supposed to be a fun movie, but it's so tonally dissonant, I'm not really sure. Regardless, I am interested to know your thoughts on it. Did you like Birds of Prey? And if so, what was it about it that appealed to you? Do you think they should have just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey? And if they did, do you think more people would have realized that it was a Harley Quinn movie and been more willing to watch it? If you're interested in my book, you might want to start by trying a little bit of the series on which it's based, or if you're interested in my take on Jack Sparrow, I have a couple of videos about him as well. And if you're following the saga of What's Even Wrong With You, Jill, I'm going for spirometry at some point. I'm intermittently feeling better, so I was able to make this video, but yeah, we still have no idea what's wrong with me. Oh well, see you next time.